Facilitator, and today I'm joined by Director of Program, Stacy Lappin. Stacy, go ahead and introduce yourself briefly.
Hello, my name is Stacy and I am the Director of Program at Sound Discipline. And besides that, I am a mom who's home with a 19-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 12-year-old. So I am living unprecedented times with my family, which is one of the reasons I'm here to share with you today. And I'm also navigating working from home and what that's like. And I've been doing this work for a long time. I first learned about positive discipline as a classroom teacher. And I got tools and strategies that helped me have relationships with my students. And then had a chance to learn how to do that with parents as well. And for the last 15 years, I've been working with schools with Sound Discipline. And I'm excited to be here today.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you agreed to be interviewed so that we could engage more fully with our community partners, our parents, and educators as well. Just a little bit of background on me. I've been a Sound Discipline Facilitator for almost 3 years, and it has been such an amazing and joyful experience to not only work with Stacy, but the wonderful staff at Sound Discipline, and just learning about positive discipline and the impact that it has. And my background is very varied, working with youth inside of, homes as a nanny, or outside in not-for-profits, working in youth empowerment. So just delighted to actually be here with you today. And so our intention today, everybody, is really just to provide insight and resources, give you a little bit of background on Sound Discipline and how we're responding to these times. And so I've asked Stacy to come on and just kind of give us some insight into her world. And, not only as a Sound Discipline parent, or positive discipline parent, but also as a teacher who used positive discipline effectively in her class, and also as a leader of an organization that teaches courses in positive discipline parenting, as well as positive discipline in the classroom, as well as trauma-informed practices. Let's not forget that right now as well, because that's pretty important. So if you can kind of give us a little bit of background on Sound Discipline and just actually what positive discipline is for those folks who are new to our page. And I'm going to actually put my earplugs in because I'm picking up a little bit of an echo while you answer that.
All right. So Sound Discipline is a Seattle-based nonprofit, and we've been around for over 10 years now. And our focus is really on supporting schools and families to create healthy, thriving relationships with young people. And we work on integrating social emotional learning and discipline and trauma-informed practices in a way that helps create communities where people know how to use their voice and solve problems and be together. And I know that for me, learning positive discipline for my own family has been incredibly powerful. I often say it's a framework. It's the tools I go back to that help me be in relationship with my own kids. Helps me understand my behavior, their behavior, how things go on. And it doesn't mean that it makes it easy or it makes it go perfectly, but it gives me tools to come back to and a way to understand things, which is always helpful, but I'm finding really helpful right now.
Right. And I think our parents probably just breathe a collective sigh of relief. Like there is no perfect way to do this or go about this. So thank you for being vulnerable in that. And you also mentioned, I just want to kind of pause real quick before we move on to the next question. You mentioned trauma-informed practices. So for those folks who aren't familiar with that language, can you kind of give us a little bit of insight into what trauma-informed practices actually means and what that is?
Yeah, great. Thank you. So really when we think about trauma-informed practices, it's really about tools that educators can use to help them look at systems and structures in school and the way that young people show up, and not looking at it in a way of saying someone's doing something wrong or bad, but everyone's doing the best they can with the tools they have. And how do we set our system up to support everybody and build resilience for young people? Because we know that there's a lot of things that happening right now. We're all living in some trauma. And when that happens, it doesn't have to be destiny. It's about how do we set the system and the structure up to be in support of every human being.
Absolutely. And that, I mean, and we can also be pretty intentional about how we structure our home lives and how parents are working with their kids right now from home, because this is proving pretty traumatic to everyone on different levels, of course. So I think this conversation is really important and really timely. And so, how are you actually using positive discipline with your kids at home? And so maybe you can give some insight, some behind the scenes of Stacy's house.
Behind the scenes of the house, yeah. Karimah's been in my house as we've been practicing, so she knows. Virtually.
Right. Via video, right?
Via video,
physical distancing, for sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
I would say that one of the tools that's been showing up for me or useful for me in the last couple of weeks is the idea of feelings and recognizing, particularly I have 2 teenagers, and this time is hard for them. They, within an instant, had to give up their friends and their activities and their social life and the world outside, which is pretty important to them. And now they get the joy and pleasure of being home with the family of 5 in one roof. And we are enjoying some great things like, meals together and things like that. But I recognize that they gave up a lot, and it's pretty big loss. And that shows up not just as mom, I feel like I have a loss, but it shows up as being grumpy, being agitated, being short, being uncooperative, all of those things. And what my gut mom reaction to that is either wanting to be able to fix it or to tell them to knock it off. And what I've really been trying to pay attention to is to just be with those feelings and listen to it and be able to name it and say, I see that you're really disappointed. I bet that you're frustrated. I know it's really hard. It's hard for me too. And so that being with has made it easier than just trying to make it go away, make them be, happy to play Monopoly.
Right. And what I hear in that also is that you're allowing space for that connection and allowing them to feel felt, right? So it's like they have these big expressive feelings and they may not even know what's going on, but you and your understanding can actually be with them in the thick of it and just honor where they are rather than trying to tell them stop that, or you need to do this, or it's not that big of a deal, or any of that stuff. So any advice for parents who have younger kids at home and and they're experiencing grief or sadness? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, thanks. So I think that the grief and sadness and loss is for all of us right now. The younger you are, probably the less it makes sense. One day I was at school and I was with my friends and I was with my teacher that I love and doing all this stuff, and now I'm not. And it doesn't really make sense. And so I think for younger kids, letting them have the big feelings and letting them talk about those big feelings and listening and drawing and writing, whatever that looks like, to be able to do that. And then the other piece I think with young kids that's really helpful is thinking about a routine. Because I don't know about everybody else, but for me, there was a rhythm and a routine to life of getting up in the morning and going to work and going to school and coming home. And suddenly that rhythm and routine, the weeks and the weekends, it's all kind of blurred together. And our kids had a routine. They go to school and school is pretty structured, and routine gives us a sense of safety and security, and we know what to expect and how to be. And when that goes away, how can we pull it into our family? So what does it look like to think about your expectations for your own? What do you have to do as the parent? What do your kids have to do? And have them help you think about, what do we do every morning? How do we get up and get dressed? Are we going to have breakfast, brush our teeth? What are the things that we're going to do? When is my virtual class? When is my reading time? Really creating that visual way to walk through the day. It can give you a sense as a parent of, I know where we're going, and your child also. And for me, one of the things that I'm always trying to figure out how to hold on to the schedule, and we have in my family on the fridge a board that has the days of the week and who's driving who where and what's happening. And and it's all blank right now, except for what's the dinner plan. And I noticed that dinner plan, I noticed that dinner plan for everybody is really something they're grounded to. Like they walk by the calendar, they check it multiple times a day, even though they probably know what's happening. But that structure and routine is helpful.
Right. Because I mean, it felt like, I don't know about you, but it felt like there was a collective rug pulled from under all of us, right? Because it's like, whoa, how do I find my balance? How do I find my equilibrium? Because I was used to doing things a certain way. And now everything that I was anchored in is different, right? So really, really appreciate, and got some comments coming in from some folks that are watching, and they are commenting about,
How fun is that?
Yeah, I know, exciting.
It's not just you and me.
It's really,
well, I know.
It's not just you and me. We are here to connect and
that's right. That's
present and journey with the individuals that are tuning in, and really reach out to Sound Discipline for guidance and resources. And so we just wanted to provide another resource and connect more intimately and more fully in a different way. So this is one of those silver linings in the situation, right? Yeah. Dinner is the anchor. Yes, Mary. Dinner is the anchor. She wrote dinner is the anchor. Wonderful. So give us one or two positive discipline, self-regulation type tools that could be beneficial for parents. We'll just start with parents first, and then we'll get a couple tools for kids, which actually could be one and the same.
They might be. All right. So one that I've really been leaning into over the last however many days this experience has gone on is movement and exercise and walking. And for me, I've been trying to do that like prevention for myself. So I'm being sure that before anybody in my house is up, that I get up and walk for an hour and a half every day. And I listen to a book while I do it. Yeah. But that is really helping me sort of set the tone for the rest of the day. And then the other thing I notice is when stress levels are going up and people are having interactions, or I feel myself needing a moment, I take a quick walk up the street and come back. Or I even find myself pacing like in my bedroom. And I know that movement really helps me. And I try and do that before I blow up or get frustrated. And and the other one that I've been leaning into is breath. And for me, breath for myself and my kids, because we've grown up doing lots of different breathing things, and sometimes they get like, "Oh yeah, right." But when I take a breath, I notice they do the same. So it gives me a moment, it gives them a moment, and sometimes we name it and say, "I need to take a breath," and sometimes we just do that. And so I noticed that it really helps.
Awesome. Well, there's two things I wanted to kind of touch on that you said there. You had mentioned prevention. And so, and doing the exit or doing whatever regulation activity you're doing on the front end is actually helping you in those moments. And sometimes you still, lose it or get upset, but you're more aware, right? So can you speak a little bit more about like the importance of just having it as a practice versus just doing it when you flip?
Yeah. So I think two things. One to know what works for you, because different things help different people. So for me, I noticed that the walking really helps me, but paying attention to what is it that helps you, and then figuring out how to do that regularly. And what I'm noticing is if I do that regularly, then I can access my best self, the mom I want to be more often. And that doesn't happen for whatever reason. I feel like every little thing is on my nerves a bit more, and I tend to react more quickly rather than respond the way I want to. And so that's what I think is figure out what works for you and then find out how to do it. And the gift of this, one of the gifts of this time lockdown, I guess, is that there's more time to that. So I can do it an hour and a half right now, but I think even 15 or 20 minutes, whatever that regular ritual can be to take care of of myself, so that I can show up the way I want to, and paying attention to myself and noticing that sometimes I don't, right? Like, oh yeah, it would have been good to take a walk or a breath, and here we go.
Right. And here we are being human.
Here we are being human together. And this will be what we put in our COVID time capsule.
That's right. That's right. And then another piece that you said was that sometimes you just pace in your home. And so there's a book that I've read called Micro Resilience. And in that book, she talks about just it doesn't matter if you're walking outside or if you're walking inside. It's walking, period, is a very self regulating activity and it helps you to build those resilience muscles. So I'm glad that you said, because, we're in Seattle, kind of rains a lot. So
Yeah,
yeah.
no, back and forth. I'm gonna have a trail in my carpet. And my 19-year-old, I notice
Right.
he does that a lot too. Like he's always pacing back and forth. I'm like, oh, he's regulating. He's all grown up.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know that we actually have some tools that we have made available to our community, right? So we have the downloadable self-regulation cards.
Yeah. So there
Yeah,
are a set of
that
60 cards,
access.
and you can download them
Mm-hmm.
for free right now. And they have a little description about how to do them. But beyond that, they're also little pictures. So pretty much from looking at the picture, you can figure out how to do that different regulating type activities. And some are with movement, and some are with breath, and some are with drawing. And so there's a wide variety, and you can use them for yourself as an adult. You can share them with your kids. And find out which ones work and which ones are we going to practice and
Let's do
try
one
now.
right now.
Let's do one.
Let's do one right now.
Okay. Do you have your cards
Okay,
in?
so let's do it.
We should have brought our cards.
No, right? I know. Oh, we totally should have, right?
We should have.
Hot
We'll put them on. Okay, which one do you want to do?
Let's do hot cocoa.
Oh yeah. Okay, this is a favorite.
Hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate. Yeah. So have you ever asked someone to take a breath and it doesn't actually help? So we try and think about what are the ways that we can hold on to what does it mean to take that breath that's really going to help, which means a deep in and a deep out. So we are going to get a cup of, and everybody that's watching, get your hot chocolate out. We got a steamy cup of hot chocolate. We just poured it.
I got mine.
You got yours. Okay, it's too hot to drink, but it smells so good. So everybody, let's breathe it in. It smells so good, and blow to cool it down. Imagine doing that 4 times. You would feel centered and calm. Mm-hmm. So the little picture of hot chocolate can remind you, and you can try it out. The other tip I give is don't just pull out the card and say, do hot chocolate when your kid is melting down, but find a time when everybody's calm and doing well and pull out the picture of hot chocolate and practice. What does it look like to do hot chocolate breathing? Because that way, more likely when they do feel a little bit stressed and you remind them about hot chocolate, they'll be able to try it out and use that tool.
Right on. And we're actually going to drop in the comments, there's a link to our self-regulation tools where Stacy said that you can download those for free right now, especially during this time. They're proved to be an invaluable resource, and they're a huge hit amongst our educators. So really appreciate that. Now, let's talk about the Parent Support Network.
Yeah.
That Sound Discipline. I know, I'm so excited that Sound Discipline is recently decided to launch. And so can you tell us, like, what is it? When's the first virtual meetup, and how it came to be about? Because we were responding to a need in the community. So tell us more about that.
Yeah. So as everybody, I'm trying to navigate unprecedented times. Sound Discipline's been trying to figure out what is the best way to meet the needs of our community. And one of the things we've been doing is sending out weekly resources to schools for them, school leaders, to share with families. So people are seeing them that way, and they're also on our website. And we, in conversation with school leaders, the question was, what does it look like to support families during this time? And what we heard was that parents are really stressed. They're having a lot to deal with. We feel like they have so much responsibility, and there's family stress and life stress. It would be really cool if you could create some kind of network for them to get support. So that was where it started, was a school leader saying that'd be cool. And then Sound Discipline listening to that and saying, what could it look like? So we are launching the very first virtual parent support network Thursday from 7 to 8:30. So I hope everyone's going to come. And
Yeah.
it's not just a one-time this Thursday. We are aiming to do this every Thursday to build a community, a network of parents coming together in the hard time, knowing that we're going to offer some tools and strategies. We're going to make space for questions and answers. And it's not about saying this is what you should do, but here's some options. And we know that the wisdom's in the community, so we're going to make space for that as well. And we're looking forward to kicking it off with our theme, and the themes are gonna, because it's only an hour and a half, we're gonna have a theme each week, and the theme comes from those resources that we're putting up each week. So our theme this week is sibling relationships and conflict. So if that's juicy to you, if you have any experience with it, come and play Thursday at 7 o'clock.
Absolutely. And that link will also be posted in our comment section. So if you are interested in being a part of the Parent Support Network, we invite you to come share your wins, share your challenges, learn from other parents. You'll be talking with Stacy Lappin and also co-founder of Sound Discipline, Joey McVitie. So it's going to be, we are so excited and we'd love to have you. If you can't come this week, you can come next week. But make sure that, just make sure that you subscribe to our email list so that we know that you're interested in getting that information. And so the link to the email list will also be in our comments. So just go ahead and just stay connected. We got all kinds of resources for you all. So it's just like, it's almost like, I feel like Oprah, like you get a car and you get a car and here's a resource and here's another resource. Right? You know,
which makes me think about resources. Did you want to talk about Spanish also? Because that also came out.
Oh, yes. Thank you. If you can talk to us a little bit about what, which of these resources are going to be available in Spanish, either the ones that we've talked about or other ones that we haven't mentioned.
Yeah, so that also came as a request from school leaders saying, I want to reach more of my community. Do you have these in Spanish? And the cool story of that is it's really grassroots sound discipline facilitators, a facilitator who is fluent in Spanish and speaks Spanish, doing the translations each week. So those resources are on our website. Shout out to Roche. Thank you, Roche, for translating those for us. And we had another request 2 weeks ago saying, could you get the videos? Because if you haven't checked out our page, check out the videos. They're awesome. But there's a request to get those in in Spanish as well. And so we are working on making that happen too. So
the videos.
The videos
that we send each week.
Yes, and I don't know if we're going to be able to go back and do Spanish, but moving forward, we're going to work on having Spanish translations for those as well. Okay. And the cards will be translated in Spanish. Yeah. So check out the Spanish. If you go to the website, if you go to the website, you can click on the resources in Spanish and see all the things that are there.
Awesome. Wonderful. So just for the viewing audience, so what this means and what I hear, Stacy, you're saying is that we really want to know what's top of mind for you all. What are some of the things that you would like to see? And we take that very, very seriously, and we consider how might we respond to that request. So please make your request now. So hope that's what you heard in that. Any final words of encouragement? I know that we also have our Sound Discipline Parents Facebook group that we just recently launched as well. So the link again will be in the comments. Any final words of encouragement or any advice or anything that you want to just kind of recap on as we wrap up our live today?
I would just remind all of us to be gentle with ourselves, that we are all going through something really challenging, and our adult selves and our kid selves, and there's so much pressure. And I think wanting to do it right and to teach my child enough and to be sure they're ready for next year. And I just invite us all to be gentle and graceful and make mistakes and fix them, and know that they're gonna be okay, that you're the right parent for your kid, and just showing up is what's important. And so let go of all that. I hope I'm doing enough, and just be gentle and graceful with yourself.
Wow. And I think the parents and educators just breathe another collective sigh of relief, like, I am the perfect parent for my child. That is so powerful. Grace, compassion, understanding, not just now in these times, but
Always.
continue beyond, always. Absolutely. Awesome. Well,
All
Stacy,
right.
I just want to be mindful of our viewing audience's time and be
Yeah.
mindful of your time because we have
We
more
could do
work
this
to
all
do in
too, right?
Yes, yes, but it's been really great having you on and being able to talk with you and take a peek behind your world and see how you're really utilizing these tools and encouraging the folks out there to utilize them and let them know that we're here for them. So appreciate you taking the time out. So,
Appreciate you. Thanks,
and
Karimah.
absolutely. And to our viewing audience, we just appreciate you. We're wishing you well, health, safety, fun, and connection with you and your families. And we just ask that you tune in again for SDTV, hashtag SDTV. That's what we're calling it. And so we're just thrilled to be able to come to you and connect with you in this way. And so we just ask that you come on back. And also, if you have some ideas for topics for the show that you'd like us to bring on, we're more than happy to hear those requests as well. But again, all the links to stay connected for the Parent Support Network, for the Facebook parenting group, email, newsletter, resources, the downloadable self-regulation cards, all those links are in the comments. And so for now, we're going to sign off. Take care. Thank you for being in, Stacy. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
All right.
Talk to you
Take
soon.
care. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care. Bye.